On this edition of Inside Education, we talk education funding, from a new sales tax voted on by the Clark County Commission to a new commission on school funding formed at the state level, to parent perspective on what needs to be done and why. Plus, Project Runway Lookout. Go inside the fashion design program at Southwest CTA and see how students are creating their own clothing brands and designs. Also, how CCSD police officers are getting social with their traffic safety message and making quite an impression. Those stories and much more Inside Education starts right now. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Inside Education. I'm your host, Mitch Truswell. Career and Technical Education, or CTE programs, provide students with specific career skills while they are in high school. The idea is to give graduating students the option to go into the workforce directly after graduation or onto college, or a combination of both. We've highlighted many CTE programs available in the Clark County School District here on Inside Education. Our focus this week, fashion design. While Las Vegas may not be the center of the fashion industry, the fashion design program at Southwest CTA is providing students with a comprehensive view of the industry and a chance to refine their skills. Gianni Ferrer is a senior in the fashion design program at Southwest CTA and is determined to work in the fashion industry. Her interest in clothes goes back to kindergarten.
I always had to make my outfits match, and if they didn't match, I would get so sad.
Before high school, she had already taught herself how to sew.
My grandma gave me this ancient machine, and I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do with this. And I found out how to work it, and it just kind of went off from that.
Now in her final year at Southwest CTA, Gianni has her own clothing brand named Bebiani. She's created runway designs, planned fashion fundraising events, and has earned scholarship money in competitions. The fashion design program has helped provide her with a solid foundation.
And I made sure I had good grades from middle school so that I can get into the school. It's always been a dream to be in this school.
Sincere Pollard, one of Gianni's classmates, is also working toward a career in fashion.
Well, I always loved fashion, and I knew I loved fashion since I was in second grade.
Sincere plans to pursue a business degree after high school to complement his fashion training, and he credits Southwest CTA with helping refine that talent.
It has really challenged me more because I'm self-taught. I taught myself how to sew, watching YouTube videos and Project Runway and things. And when I came here, it challenged me more, and I got more technical, and I wasn't just going willy-nilly on a sewing machine like I used to.
Instructor Nicole Carson strives to give students a comprehensive overview of the industry, allowing them to pick those aspects that appeal to them. There are about 170 students enrolled in the 4-year program. In addition to skills, Carlson offers insight. She spent 2 years as a designer for the Guess clothing company before coming to Southwest CTA.
We do kind of step our toes into every aspect of the industry, so it's not just sewing, it's not just design. We do the production, the buying, the pattern drafting portion of it. So we kind of give them a little introduction to everything.
Not every student in the program is as serious about a career in fashion, although all students gain skills such as sewing and also what are called soft skills.
They build interacting skills, networking skills. We even teach them job interviewing skills. So stuff that they can also use outside, and even as simple as say your boss's button falls off, you can say, look, I can sew that for you. And then they're like, ooh.
To complete the program, all students will have to create their own product line, showcase it on the runway, and prepare it for mass production. There are some other design programs in the district we want to let you know about, including fashion design at Basic Academy of International Studies, and Del Sol Academy of the Performing Arts offers costume design. And we want to remind you about a National Corporation for Public Broadcasting initiative that Vegas PBS is part of. American Graduate Getting to Work connects 16 to 26-year-olds to jobs that require a high school diploma but less than a 4-year college degree. Many of these careers are in demand, with a shortage of workers with the necessary skills to do those jobs. Television is a great way to connect the community to the resources and to help promote these career pathways. You can learn more about the initiative as well as watch videos on various careers at the website on your screen. Well, education funding has been a hot topic the past couple of months. The Clark County Commission recently voted to increase the county's sales tax to benefit education and social service programs. The 1/8 of a cent increase will generate about $54 million annually. The commission will not allocate the money directly to the Clark County School District and others for these specific programs. Instead, CCSD and others will need to apply for the funds and provide measurable goals. The tax increase goes into effect in January and will end in 2021 unless extended by the commission. This past session, the Nevada legislature authorized county commissions to increase the sales taxes for education programs. Meanwhile, 11 members have been named to a commission on school funding. These are positions appointed by Nevada's legislative leaders. This commission was created to help guide the revamp of the education funding formula. Dr. Carlene McCormick-Lee will chair the commission. She is a former associate superintendent with CCSD and also a visiting scholar at UNLV. Other members include Guy Hobbs, Poonam Mather, Dr. Lisa Morris-Hibbler, Jim McIntosh, Dr. David Jensen, and Dusty Casey. The Nevada Association of School Superintendents also nominated 4 school district chief financial officers to join the commission as well. The commission will make a recommendation to the governor and the legislature on or before December 1st, 2020. Total spending on K-12 education in Nevada, by the way, will top $5 billion annually in 2020. Well, that seems like a lot of money, but is there enough money to successfully fund K-12 education in the state of Nevada? It may depend on who you ask. In the past few weeks, we've heard from the teachers union, district leaders, and even top elected officials like the governor. Inside Education's Kathy Topp sat down with 2 CCSD parents who follow education funding talks very closely to get their take on what's happened and what to look for in the future.
Thank you, Mitch. We want to thank Karen Shea with Hope for Nevada for joining us, as well as Rebecca Garcia from the Facebook group CCSD Parents. Now, both of you watched the negotiations between the Clark County Education Association, the CCEA, and district leaders pretty closely. That just happened here. And one of the things that seemed to come out of this dispute was a clear message that education funding had to be addressed. Let's listen quickly to the governor, something that he said in the press conference when a deal was announced.
Today is good news. I also want to recommit to doing whatever we can to fix the larger systemic problem we face so we don't end up back here again in 2 years. It's not lost on me that the issues facing Nevada's education system go well beyond the specific issue that was resolved today. They go beyond Clark County, and they go beyond this current time.
Karen, let's start with you. Now that the dust has settled, the governor talked about a systematic problem. How do we go about fixing this?
Right. So the systemic problem is that we have not made a commitment to change how we value education in Nevada. And that, I mean, I think funding is an enormous issue, but beyond that, it's how we value and prioritize education above other things that seem to always continue to get money in the state.
Things such as?
Well, I mean, there are a myriad of examples and very current ones as well. Assemblywoman Brittany Miller had a class size reduction bill that got all the teeth removed and reduced to a study. We have the IP1 room tax, which was meant for education, to supplement education. That has been $1.6 billion of education money that our kids have never seen as a supplement because it is constantly used to fill holes in the state's general fund. So we can have a tax for education, but that money doesn't actually go to education as a supplement because our legislators haven't committed for that to happen.
And I see you nodding, Rebecca. How do you think we can fix this?
I think it does go back to whether or not we want to invest in education. And I use that word a lot because that's the reality of when we look at whether or not to put money to education. A lot of times people use the word throwing money at education. The reality is Nevada's never done that, ever. We have funded below adequacy for decades. And so the question is, are we going to make a true investment so that we see that impact in our schools and in our community? Because education's not just an issue that impacts our kids. You know, it impacts the whole community, whether you have children or not. It impacts businesses. And so when we as a state don't make that investment, there are consequences to that, and we see them all over the place in our state.
You know, critics would say, though, that it's CCSD that you don't do a good job managing your budget. I mean, are they getting better at being transparent? Are they transparent, Karen?
I think the main issue is that in Nevada, we fund 58% of adequacy for any school district in Nevada. So you could claim mismanagement in every single school district in Nevada. The fact is, they don't have any money to work with. So I think the reorganization has helped with SOTs and us understanding and seeing transparency of dollars at the school site. I'm not really sure where the argument for, I think it's a giant diversion of focus. If you continue to make it at a local level, it's very convenient for our elected officials to never do anything about it.
No, go ahead.
Well, and I also think people forget the size and scale of CCSD a lot of times. We're the 5th largest school district in the nation. And so we're not talking about a few $1,000,000 fixing the overall issue of adequate funding. It's a big gap. And so even if we could identify more efficiencies, which I do think there has been progress in looking at that, a couple extra $1,000,000 by becoming more efficient isn't going to fill that giant gap that we have in education funding.
I mean, funding is such a complicated issue. Do you think that most parents understand? I mean, on your Facebook.
No, I mean, I run CCSD Parents with almost 6,000 members, and every single day there are questions about where's the money coming from? Where's the pot money going to? Nevada's plan to fund education is very complicated. Now, some of that is going to be changing with the new funding formula that'll come about in the next 2 years. But the reality right now is that it is really hard to do a straight line to figure out where the revenue is coming and where the money gets to. And so that can make it really hard for parents and just the general public to have trust in the system.
Even lawmakers, maybe.
Yes, I think it also causes a problem for lawmakers. And in the end, though, I think it is what Karen said, and I think it's an excuse more than the reality.
So very quickly, what advice would you have for parents or community members who are watching and maybe were frustrated by what they have seen or they've heard? I mean, the legislative session is 2 years away.
So I guess my advice would be to do your own homework and don't just read headlines, but read the content of material. You know, get involved so that you really understand the information and then be loud, because every day special interest groups are lobbying our elected officials to get what they want. And so we need to do that for our children.
And the reality, too, is in Nevada, we have a citizen legislature. So we can make very quick contact with our elected officials if we take the time to do it. So educate yourself and reach out to your elected officials and let them know that you're watching and you want to see something different happen.
Well, I appreciate your time to talk about education funding. Again, we've got Karen Shea with Hope for Nevada and Rebecca Garcia with CCSD Parents. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And to learn more about Hope for Nevada, you can go to the group's website at hopefornevada.org. The group CCSD Parents can be found on Facebook. You do need to request to become a member. They call themselves the Fab Five on social media. We're talking about the school district police department's motorcycle officers. And if you haven't checked out the Clark County School District Police Department's Facebook page, you should. The Traffic Bureau is getting quite the reputation for its creativity while trying to spread the word about safety in school zones. Here to talk more about that is Sergeant Brian Zink with the School District Police Department, as well as Sergeant Michael Campbell. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So I guess what we need to do is we need to give folks kind of an idea of what we're talking about. So let's show them a couple of examples. You guys are drawing happy faces on cars that have been pulled over and writing posts like this one, telling us that everyone does it is not a good excuse. Hashtag if your friends all jumped off a bridge. Or this one, cut up some speeds at Wiener. This driver was doing 40 in a 15. Hashtag hot diggity dog. Had another 40 in a 15 and a 50 in a 35, meaning going 50 in a 35. Yep. Hashtag wiener, ticket diener.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sergeant Campbell, I understand that you are kind of the one that came up with a lot of these, right? Is this kind of your deal?
Yeah, what started off as just a couple educational posts in the beginning of the school year, the first couple days, got just such a good response that we wanted to continue with it. And when I started making a couple hashtags that had to do with the school and a couple pictures, I felt like, hey, how can we get these people engaged when they're scrolling through their social media? We didn't want to just be another post or another picture that they see. It's like, wait a minute, why is there a face on the back of this car? Or what's this hashtag about? So I feel like just having those couple extra things are getting some more engagement from our readers and on social media.
Okay. So apparently, well then, it apparently is working. People who are following you now has gone up 4,500?
Yep, 4,500 in the last 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks. Okay, so people are seeing it. Yep. Do you think it's having or will have an effect on getting people to slow down?
Yeah, I feel like it's having a positive reaction in our school zones. The drivers that are responding to us in the comment section are saying, hey, I don't want to be on this page, for one, and then it's the reach that it's getting. Every time somebody shares one of our posts or they talk about it with a friend, they're going and looking at it, and some of the posts, although they're a little quirky and funny, we throw in something educational saying, hey, you can't do this. You can't park in the red zones. You can't do U-turns. You can't pass vehicles. And they're starting to understand that not only is someone out there, but they're understanding that there's some specific laws that are in school zones that they might not come across as often as drivers.
And that's what you want to not be lost in this story, is the fact that, yes, it's going to get your attention, it's creative, it's a little humorous, but bottom line, there are different rules when you're in the school zone.
Yes.
Right? Give me an idea. What's the most common problem? Is it speeding? Is it something else in a school zone? Based on, maybe not the most common, maybe on your interactions. What do you see the most often?
Speeding is always a problem, but outside of speeding, I would say U-turns or stopping in the roadway to either drop their kids off or pick them up, which creates, an impedance of traffic. And then people want to go around the vehicles, go into oncoming traffic.
And this kid's trying to walk across in front.
It's chaotic.
Go into bike lanes, drive through crosswalks. They just don't pay attention to you. They get frustrated because somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then they make a bad decision, which can have dire consequences. Absolutely.
Yes. Yep. Right. Okay. Are you able to generalize on who are most often the violators? Is there any general characteristic? Obviously, they're usually probably late somewhere, so they're going to be going faster, but anything else?
I've said that a lot of inconsideration leads to impatience of other people, and that's when the big events start happening in our school zones. It's like in the morning and in the afternoon, it's 20, maybe 30 minutes of a lot of vehicles going through
Pretty
this
intense.
area. Yeah, it's congested. Yeah.
We call it the show. It's always the show, 15, 30 minutes before, 15, 30 minutes after. So.
And then it's over.
Right.
I mean, so if you come a little earlier, you'll miss it.
Yep.
We hope you don't come to school late, but if you get there early, you'll miss the whole chaos.
Right.
And we just ask, hey, if you come a little early, you'll miss it. And the biggest thing is if you show some consideration to other drivers, you can avoid some of these road rage incidents that we see too often on social media.
Right.
Is if you show consideration, be patient with the kids, be patient with these drivers, and it's just a few minutes, it'll be over.
It's important to note also that over half of the kids that go to our schools, or the 320,000 students, are either driven by their parents, ride, or walk to school. And so that's another thing that we like to emphasize too, is that you've got to be patient. You got to pay attention to the bike lanes, the crosswalks, kids walking down. They're kids, so yeah, they like to ride their bikes down the wrong side of the bike lane or something like that. So you just really have to pay attention, to everybody out there. And like Sergeant Campbell said, it's the 15, 20 minutes before, it's the 15, 20 to 30 minutes after that we just really ask people to, pay attention, slow down. These are your kids, they're our kids, they're his kids, they're all of our kids.
And they're paying attention now, thanks to what you put on social
absolutely.
media. We want to let folks know that they can follow CCSD Police on Facebook at CCSDPD. Check it out, and continued success on your creativity here.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, Wednesday, October 2nd is Walk to School Day. Here are a couple of tips from safe routes to school to make sure everyone gets to and from school safely. Look for traffic, of course, at every driveway and intersection. And this includes being aware of drivers who may be in parked cars that may be getting ready to move. You, of course, want to wear brightly colored clothing and reflective gear. It is getting dark earlier, especially when bicycling or walking at dawn or dusk. Obey all traffic signs, signals, and crossing guards, and walk. Don't run across the street after looking left, right, left, then behind and in front of you. You got to look everywhere. It is difficult to do well in school if you have problems seeing what the teacher is writing on the board. It's even more troublesome for students whose families may not be able to afford a trip to the eye doctor or to pay for the glasses they need, but that need not be an issue, thanks to Eye Care for Kids. Joining us is Stephanie Kirby and also Sonia Kalia. Both are with Eye Care for Kids. We appreciate you being with us today. You're providing not only eye exams, but eyeglasses, and you've been doing this for a while, a long time, right?
We have.
How many years?
Locally, about 7 years.
Okay, well, that's great. So many children in school may not know that they even need an eye exam or need glasses. How often do you run into that? I know that you're going all over to schools within the Clark County School District and probably beyond as well. How often are you running into finding a kid that needs glasses? Is it daily?
Daily.
Really? Okay.
Multiple times a day.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And we say that kids don't know what they don't know. They really, unless they're talking about it with somebody else, a family member, a teacher, or another student, they don't know that everybody sees the board a little bit fuzzy, or you have to be this close to see somebody. So once they get into our clinics, whichever of our clinics they happen to come to, and take the exam, and then they actually are looking through and getting the exam, and it looks really clear to them, it changes their world.
I don't know. Yeah, it's amazing. Sonia, so most of the children that you see, you're an optometrist with Eye Care for Kids. So most of the kids that come to you, are they just, this is their first exam, or are they, does, say, the nurse at the school say, I think we may want to give this child an eye exam?
Right. So I would say majority of the time they've been screened by nurses, and it is their first experience with an eye care provider. We do have our established patients, because we've been doing this now for 6-7 years, and then sometimes the younger siblings, it's their first time. But I would say the majority of the time it's the nurses that have done the screening, or the parents or the teachers have noticed that there's some deficiencies.
And you said you do this annually, so you're going back to these schools maybe a year later to follow up? Why is that important?
Go ahead.
Well, you need an eye exam every year. There's a reason for that, especially in the school age kids age group, they grow. So as children grow, their eye care needs change. Some grow out of a prescription, and some even grow into a stronger prescription. So that always has to be checked every year. Okay.
And I know I had asked you this earlier. You can also screen for other eye issues or conditions as well. What would those be?
So some of the things are, the mainly that we see are amblyopia and lazy eye.
Okay.
Amblyopia is an eye condition where the eye does not correct to 20/20 even with its full refractive error. And if you don't correct an amblyopic eye and give it the proper therapy, you can end up with permanently reduced vision.
So you have a mobile clinic as well as a school-based clinics.
We do.
Why the difference? Just tell me.
With the mobile vision clinic, what's the beauty about that is that we can travel from school to school every single day that CCSD is open. We can go to a different school and see anywhere between 25 and 40 kids just in that one school alone. So when we're at a school, it's just for those students. It's not open to the community. And then our stationary clinics, our school-based ones, are open to the communities.
And we should point this out. So when these children have the eye exam, and if they need glasses, they get those glasses. Is there a cost involved?
If they are in CCSD, no. And we serve Title I schools where it's a high percentage of free or reduced lunch. And so we'll go back once a year, and they can receive the screening and an exam and a prescription pair of eyeglasses at no charge.
Right. And it even applies to their parents as well. That's incredible.
Right. And so for $50, we can give them the same service with a single vision pair of glasses if they need bifocal or something.
As we get older, we all need it, right? Yeah.
Then it's a slight charge, a slight fee on top of that. But we're finding that so many of these kids need our services. but the parents are in the exact same boat.
Right. The question is, how are you funded? How are you able to do this?
So just some really generous, amazing supporters in the community and donations.
And locally, who would those supporters be?
Sure, Elaine P. Wynn has been, and her family foundation have been just incredible supporters, and the Engelstad Foundation.
Right.
We also work really closely with some other community organizations just to make sure that we're serving as many kids as possible, like Communities and Schools and Future Smiles and 3 Square. So it just takes a lot of us to serve that same population. We're kind of a wheel, and we're all different spokes on that wheel.
And you've had an incredible, I just want people to know that you served during the last school year, 10,251 CCSD students you saw or served.
Right.
7,600 of those received glasses, 5,300 of those were uninsured.
Right.
So there's a real need.
Huge need. So about half of those kids, correct, were uninsured. And then a little over 4,000 were insured, but about that same amount were Medicaid. And so if a student or anybody on Medicaid receives that service, a vision service,
right,
one time, and then a month later they break those glasses, Medicaid will not pay for that service again. So we're a great safety net for a lot of people who do have Medicaid or some type of insurance.
Absolutely. Before we go, what's the best way for parents to get in touch with you if they think their child may have an issue?
Sure. Really by phones, which is 702-727-3525, and come to our Brindley Middle School clinic. We're a portable right in front of Brindley Middle School on Smoke Ranch and Jones, and that one is open 5 days a week.
Okay.
So we'd be happy to see anybody come in.
Okay. And finally, if they want to go to your website, what would that be?
iCareForKids.org.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of Inside Education, as we all have a stake in our public education system. A quick reminder that you can find this episode and past episodes of Inside Education on the Vegas PBS website. That's vegaspbs.org, or on the Vegas PBS YouTube page. We'll be back here in 2 weeks, and we hope to see you then.